G'day shooters. Savage's lever release A22R rimfire rifle just didn't take off in Australia, but because of that you can buy it at permanently discounted prices, so if it wasn't all that appealing then, maybe it should be now. I mean, look at this one, the Pro Varmint model, which has a good quality Boyd's target style laminated timber stock, a heavy barrel and a Picatinny rail on top. My local gun shop, Mudgee Firearms, has them for $869. Any other time, this would be $1,100 plus. From memory, they were about $1,000 when they first arrived in Australia, and everything's jumped up a fair bit since then, but not the A22R. So it's good value, but I guess the real question is whether it's worth having at all. We bought this one in .22 Magnum to find out. Its magic trick is the lever release bolt mechanism. When you fire a shot, the bolt's blown backwards, extracting and ejecting the spent case. It locks open, waiting for you to reach forward and pull the release lever that's in front of the trigger guard. When you do, the bolt springs back into battery, chambering around and setting everything up so you can pull the trigger on the next shot. It's not semi-automatic, although it's based on a semi-auto design. It can't operate as a semi-auto because it has an entirely different trigger mechanism, incorporating the lever release. There is a point to all this unusual design. Compared with turn bolt actions and lever actions, you move less. All you have to do is move your shooting hand forward, pull the release lever with your index finger and then get back on the trigger. You can retain your sight picture, the rifle doesn't move much at all, you don't need elbow room and you don't need space underneath the rifle. And the advantage over a pump action is you can use the A22R on a rest or on a bipod. Shooting from a rest or offhand using the A22R is very simple and very natural. It's much better offhand than you might think actually, given the stock that it's got. When you get into a rhythm with the rifle, you can rattle off a number of accurate shots in fairly short order. The most useful thing are quick follow-up shots if you need them, or perhaps picking off bunnies in a row before they all get down in the burrow. The trigger's a little heavy at 1.9 kilos, but it lets off cleanly. It has a nice fat face to it too. The lever release requires a firm tug to activate it. On one hand it'd be nice if it were a lot lighter, but on the other hand you don't want it moving too readily or it'd be too easy to accidentally bump it and chamber around. I generally carried the A22R with the bolt locked open and the cross bolt safety engaged. The safety was a backup just in case I did somehow snag the lever and close the bolt, but it never happened. You can also carry the rifle with the bolt closed on an empty chamber, and going into action then involves pulling the bolt open where it'll lock, hitting the release lever and then coming back onto the trigger. The Pro Varmint's heavy barrel is good for high volume shooting. Even running a 10 round magazine through it fairly quickly didn't produce a lot of barrel heat. The barrel's fully floating in that rugged Boyd stock. The stock is exceptionally comfortable to shoulder and to shoot, even offhand as I said. It's almost flat forend, rests well on bags and the weight helps you hold steady. This outfit, scope and all, weighs just over 3.7 kilograms, so it's not exactly heavy despite the good solid feel to it. Accuracy was on par for a .22 Magnum, which I think is safe to say is the least accurate of the mainstream rimfire trio, the other two being the lovely 17 HMR and the utilitarian 22 LR. The 22 WMR's strengths come into play beyond the 22 LR's maximum useful range of about 75 metres, and in breezes that'll throw the little 17's projectiles way off target. With the A22R zeroed bang on at 100 metres, its accuracy would guarantee hits on rabbits probably about 90% of the time, and that's with several different types of factory ammo. You wouldn't win a competition with it, but it was great for pest control. Rabbits, foxes, small pigs and goats, they're all good fodder for a .22 Magnum. And the A22R has the reloading action that gives you a better chance of getting one or two more of the little buggers than you might otherwise. One thing it didn't do was cycle subsonics. Apparently the 22 LR version will, and of course it's more appropriate for subsonics, but the Magnum just didn't blow back far enough to eject or lock open. There's nothing complex about the action. The handbook gives you thorough instructions for complete disassembly, but if you just need to remove the bolt to give the bore a quick clean, you can just remove the shroud, the recoil assembly and bolt handle, then squeeze the release lever and guide the bolt back up and out to remove it. The A22R is a thoroughly modern Savage, meaning it's well built and well designed, but built to a budget. It has some great features like the 10-shot rotary magazine that sits flush with the bottom of the stock and beats the hell out of the great danglers hanging from some rifles. There's a fair bit of plastic in it, including the magazine, the bolt shroud and the trigger group, but it seems tough. Certainly I didn't see any Savages of this style, including the B series, come into the gun shop with any problems when I worked there. As for the laminated stock, it's strong. The timber is hiding under a textured finish that's really grippy. Overall, there's lots to like about the A22R. And to answer our original question, yep, it is worth having. The lever release system has a lot going for it. Its simplicity is a joy and it's very practical for pest control. At current prices, I reckon the A22R is pretty hard to resist. The A22R is a unique build for Australia, but because it didn't sell that well, there's not much chance of it coming back again. The A22R is available in 22LR and there's not many of them left, if any at all, and 22 Magnum like this one, and the A17R is a 17HMR version. If you want one, I'd grab one sooner rather than later because you probably won't get another chance.